All right, here we are, another day and another video on how to get risk ready and increase your resilience and preparedness. This one's about getting strong and free. A lot of talk, a lot of articles, a lot of news on strong and free. Let's talk about it. As I say that, I think, okay, the first slide is quit talking and thinking about it and start doing it. And here we are talking about it. That's funny. Okay, the first thing, you have to actually take action. Other videos have talked about that analysis paralysis. I don't know what to do. Yeah, you do. You know what to do. You just don't want to do it. You can do it. You're just not doing it. Make the first move. Take the first step. Quit whining about things. Be independent. You know what? Here's a challenge. Here's a first step for you. Leave a comment after this video about one thing you have done or plan to do to become stronger and freer, to start getting prepared. If you're watching this, you've taken the time to watch it, which is great. That's an action. That's the first step. Now leave a comment. If you look at books on how to make change in your life, whether it's physical fitness, financial freedom, getting a new job, it always talks about writing down or putting into words what you want to do, what you want to achieve. So that's my challenge to you. Leave a comment after this video. Take some action. Put thought to word. Take the first step. Finances. You got to start with this. You can't really be strong and free if you're totally dependent on someone else or something else for all your money. And because, like it or not, if we're going to get stronger and freer, we need resources. We need some money. You need an emergency fund. I don't care how little you start saving a little bit. Take a quarter, take $1, take whatever it is, put it in a jar, put it in a box, put it anywhere. Start saving it. Cut out what you can. Reduce unnecessary expenses. You'll probably be healthier for it. I cut out all alcohol. I used to enjoy drinking, as much or possibly more than the next fella, but I've totally cut that out. I feel better for it, healthier. So mentally, I'm better. Physically, I'm better. Financially, I am better off for having done that. I can take that money and save it. Reduce your debt. Don't be a slave to debt. No matter how far back you look, in whichever religious text you want to look, they don't look favorably on debt. Don't owe money. Buy when on sale. Now, that doesn't mean buy things on sale. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean you need it or that it's a good deal. But if you can wait and buy the things you do need on sale, great. That gives you more bang for your buck. Buy in bulk. If you say, well, it's just me, I'm just one person, I can't buy in bulk. I don't need that many of whatever it is. Get together with some of your friends. We talk about that in other videos. And in this one, we'll talk about it too. Your community, your friends. Get together and then buy in bulk. You can't afford the savings on a whole pallet of ammunition or tuna or Spam or oats. Get together with some of your like-minded group, chip in, get the savings, increase your preparedness, and truly diversify. When we're talking finances, I see a lot of that where people say, oh, well, I'm diversified. I have stocks in real estate. I have stocks in commodities like oil and gas or fertilizer companies or bank stocks. What's the key theme there that's the same with all those things? Stocks. You're in, technically, one asset class. So diversify. Have some currency. Have some dollar bills, some change on hand. Have barter items. You can use your finances for that. You don't have to say, well, I want to get out of the system. I don't want cash. I don't want fiat currency. But you need that stuff in order to get yourself freer. Spend it on skills. All kinds of ways to do it. Critical supplies. I've just lumped everything under critical supplies. So that's food. When you're thinking about this stuff, you want to be truly strong and free. Start with your storage. What's your short-term, medium-term, and long-term storage? So I think about myself here. I've got, things in the fridge. That's super short-term because that's perishable. Fridge and freezer, things I use up all the time. Got canned food, dried food. That's kind of that medium-term, long-term food, stuff that'll last 25 or 30 years. So that's your storage, and you have to have that. Then resupply. How do you replenish that? Can you grow your own food? Can you forage for food? Can you hunt? Can you trade other things you may have for food? Can you buy it? Do you have local suppliers? Right? Thinking about supply chain, can you buy it locally? Those are all ways to resupply. Maybe you have skills that you can trade for food. I was just looking at in our locale here. I've got wood on my property. I went to a local store and I said, "How those bags of wood that are ridiculously expensive outside your store here? How do I get in on that? Do you pay me for that? What do I do?" Well, if you get set up as a supplier, go through all the paperwork. They don't give you cash for it. They give you food. You get a store credit at the grocery store. So that would allow me a resupply plan to trade a commodity I have, which is wood, for food. And you have to look at resupply. Lots of times, if you start, and this is the nice thing about starting to do this, is if you start to see, you go to grow something, you could have animals, deer, moles, voles, rabbits, get into your garden and destroy your whole crop. You could get an early frost. You could get a storm. You could get hail. Many of the emergencies or, disasters that we as preppers think about, nuclear winter, the volcanic eruption that puts an ash cloud, we've got a year-long winter or a very poor growing season, disease infestations, things like that. Lots of things could take out if you've got a big garden. So you have to have storage on hand to be able to get through that. You have to be able to preserve what you do grow to get you through the winter, right? It's like when we talked about finances, having that emergency fund, that's you putting aside your food so that in the winter, when you don't have food coming in, you can survive. When you have money coming in, put some aside so that if you don't have money coming in, you can get through to the next growing season or job opportunity. Water, same thing. Got to have storage. Then think about resupply. Collection. Can you collect rainwater in tanks or using tarps? Do you have a dugout? Rivers, lakes, wells. How do you treat the water that you do collect? So again, start with storage because there's lots of things that could interrupt your collection. If there's a nuclear attack, for example, and there's fallout, and you say, well, okay, we've got to stay inside for 2 weeks. Well, you got to stay inside for 2 weeks. Maybe it's contaminated somehow. So you have to always start with that first initial storage to get you through, and then look at your bigger, broader resupply options. Fuel. What do you use fuel for? Well, transportation, heating, cooking, lighting, right? Electricity's fuel. The appliance consumes it to generate your light or if it's an electric vehicle. So again, electricity, gas, diesel, wood, propane. Start with storage. Again, what's that first bit? Even if you're living in town or in the city, you got gas, you've got some storage in your fuel tank. Well, get another fuel can or a couple of fuel cans and keep some extra so that you can bug out if you have to. Resupply. Can you generate it? Solar, wind, water. That's for your electricity. Wood harvesting. Maybe you can have wood, a fireplace or a boiler. or gasification, fuel production. Can you make biodiesel? Build from the bottom up. This is really important. It starts with you. You have to, it's like they say, yeah, how can you love others if you don't love yourself? Take care of your own. The oxygen mask just fell out of the compartment in the airplane. Put yours on first, then you can help others. If you don't have your own health, that's where it starts. Start with you. A lot of preppers say, well, my family's not on board. Forget that for now. It doesn't matter. Start with you. You got to be on board. You have to take action. You have to commit. You can inspire others. You can make a difference. Start with you. Expand it to your broader family, your friends, your community, municipality, your province, then up to the federal level, national level. But it starts with you. Don't rely on the government. Every time I look at articles or things the governments are doing, it's always promises to something in the future, and we buy into it. We say, "Ooh, you're gonna give us, $100 billion for defense sometime in the future. Some other government, some other society is going to pay for it somehow. We're not going to do anything right now. We're just going to talk about it. We're going to flip flop. Tariffs are on, tariffs are off. We'll resist you. Well, we won't." In true disasters, there would be very limited to potentially no help at all. Even in my involvement in the fire department, we would sometimes call for backup, right? We'd call and say, yeah, we need police on the scene. No, sorry, you're on your own. We have more important calls to go to right now. Okay. Katrina. There's some good audio clips out there of actual 911 calls where they literally say help is not coming. Time will not be on your side. Emergencies, disasters, you have to have response right away. You can't rely, even in good times. Out here where I am, if you call the RCMP, and I love those guys, right? Get along great. Lots of friends in RCMP. It's just logistically, they're just not going to get there in time, potentially. Too many conflicts with the government, and reliance limits your freedom. I like that cartoon that I found to put in here. If your idea of helping yourself and taking action is to apply for government handouts, you might want to rethink your options. Well, here we are at the summary slide. If you really want to be strong and free, do it. Make that decision. Take some action. Be part of the solution, not the problem. And again, my challenge to you, this channel, I started this to try and increase education and awareness and to build a sense of community. And hopefully it'll get bigger and bigger. And we can help each other. We can boost each other's morale. We can keep each other accountable. We can help each other make positive change. So my challenge to you is leave a comment after this video about one thing you have done or will do to become more strong and free. Because really, if you can't take that simple step and put words down, take one bit of action. You're already watching the video. Now, you may not have even watched to the end, but if you have, good for you. That's an action you've taken. Take it to the next step. Right now, this is a small community. I'll reply to your comments. We can have a conversation. I've done that with other people, and it starts, building that community. It helps me. It helps you. Be risk ready. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this. Like, share, and subscribe.